Hello, so this very day I'm going to talk about what intensive and extensive property of wetsuit is. Before we move on, we have to know what intensive and extensive properties are. Intensive properties are that do not change with the amount or the substances. For example, I chose color because even though you have any amount of aluminum foil, the color will remain shiny. Now let's move on to extensive property. Extensive property are substances that change with the amount or the size. For example, I chose the length because it shows that the amount of aluminum foil will change the size of the sample. So we know the main difference between intensive and extensive property, and they are different because intensive property have to do with change in matter, but extensive property have to do with amount and the size. Now we know the main differences between intensive and extensive property, we will be moving deeply into wetsuit. I will introduce what wetsuit is. What is a wetsuit? As you can see, wetsuit is a noun that is made close-fitting material called neoprene, or similar material that covers most the body but not designed to exclude water. It's worn for warmth in water sports or diving. Now let's move deeply into wetsuits. You'll be wondering how wetsuits keep us warm today, and today I'll be showing how wetsuits function. First, to have a wetsuit working, you will have to have a wetsuit that fits tightly on you. You must have a tight wetsuit, or else lots of water will go into your wetsuit and make you cold. So, to prevent such scene, you will need to have a tight wetsuit. This is a changing in amount of the size, so this is extensive property. Second, wetsuits keep you warm because it contains layers and layers of stuff inside a wetsuit. There are usually 6 layers in a wetsuit. The first layer is basically your skin, the second layer is a thin layer of trapped warm water from your body, and the third layer is made of nylon or some other fabric such as titanium, copper, magnesium, aluminum, and silver. The fifth layer is very important because it is the main function to keep your body warm, and it is a thick layer of neoprene. Last but not the least, the last layer is made to resist water from going into your body. If you look at this picture, there is your body at the left, and if you look at this right of the picture, you can see bodies of water. As I said, the first layer is the skin, the second layer is a thin trapped warm water from your body, the third layer is made of nylon or some other fabric, and the fifth layer is, as I said, is very important because it is the main function to keep your body warm, and it is made of thick layer of neoprene, and last layer is made to resist water from going into your body. Finally, we will be moving into the third reason. And the third reason is basically about the helpful things that wetsuit does. We wear wetsuit to keep ourselves warm. To keep ourselves warm in the cold water, but that is not all the reason why we wear wetsuit. There are lots of purposes of wearing wetsuits. One reason is to protect yourself from the UV ray. As you know, UV rays are very bad for your skin, so that's one thing wetsuit can come in handy. Another reason is to protect ourselves from getting cuts or scrapes. As many surfer and diver know, coral can cut your skin and lead you to bleeding. But wearing this beneficial wetsuit will prevent you from getting cuts. The last reason is obviously to keep you warm. Now, let's talk about intensive property that affects the wetsuits. Intensive properties matters because it has to do with density. But before we move into definition of intensive property, as I mentioned before, intensive property has to do with type of matter within a change in matter, and it doesn't have to do with size or amount. Now let's move into density. Density matters. Density always matters when you have to do with wetsuit, because if you have a wetsuit that is denser than the water, you will be sinking and drown like the picture on the left. This is a picture of a rock underneath the water. It is an example that if something is denser than the water, it will sink. But if you look at the right of the picture, you will see a sponge, and in fact, sponge is less dense than the water and it will float. So if you have a less dense wetsuit than the ocean water, you will float. And that was it for my today's presentation. Thank you for listening.